All right. My name is the Ronin Jase Osei, and I'm here enjoying a nice beverage because I am drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkinatmos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's also mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkinatmos, where we don't quit. Drinkinatmos, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, always a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody. Welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. Don't forget about the audio platforms. Be kind to me because my allergies are kicking my ass right now. But today, I'm excited to have with me returning the Ronin, Jase Osei. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Obviously, our last podcast went well because you had me back. You know, I didn't get kicked out by security this time.
But you know, when I heard that, we'll talk a lot about this. But when I heard that you were going to be a part of Fantastic League of Wrestling, the thing that I am podcast partner with, I was like, holy crap, I got to have that guy back on.
Yeah, what's it? I mean, it's been actually a great partnership with Fantastic League of Wrestling. You know, kind of found out about it on a whim, and then ever since, you know, kind of talking to, you know, the upper echelon there, I believe so much in the product. I believe in the vision. I believe in what it's doing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even seeing the products and seeing a few of the talent that's on there, I am excited to be a part of it and excited to just kind of have some great, you know, some great matches, some great battles with some of the high level guys there, and then see where it goes. I think it's definitely something that I feel like more eyes need to be on it, because I don't think it's getting the justice that it actually truly deserves.
I would have to agree. That's part of why I was so excited. I happened on a post from the promoter, John Bullard, that he was talking about the partnerships with different promotions from like Japan, Mexico, UK. And I'm like, kind of, I guess me being my own worst critic, I was still thinking, this won't happen. So I was like, hey, have you thought about a podcast partner? And he's like, let's do it. I'm like, okay.
Hey, them ones are the best ones, man. Like, you know, the ones where you go out down the whim, and then people see the potential, and then all of a sudden you just go rolling with it.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be intriguing. But before we go too far into it, I do want to ask, you know, for people that will remember you from the last time, and you know what, maybe for people that this is their first introduction to you, what have you been up to since I last talked to you, since you last stepped through my doors?
Literally, I have been competing all over the place. there's been a heavy focus on martial arts, been a heavy focus on obviously the pro wrestling and, getting more battles there. And then really, obviously, just had a little one. So my family has grown. We're a family of 3 as opposed to 2 now. And, yeah, pretty much kind of doing dad life, which I think is, especially as a pro wrestler, has its own set of challenges.
Yeah, like it. You had your little one. You mentioned Halloween. That was this last one?
Yeah, so like literally this last
Wow.
one.
So both of ours are like literally just a couple months apart.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, when I saw yours, it's like, oh yeah, yours is like literally like, just like a couple months after mine, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. And like he wasn't due until like mid-January, but with my wife being high risk, they literally told her, "You're not leaving this year without having that kid." And when we got to what we knew it was going to be the last ultrasound appointment, we were thinking, "Oh, we'll come back like in a few days when we're actually gonna." Well, due to some stuff, they're like, "Well, you're going to be coming back in a couple days anyways. How about we start this process now?" And I'm like, what? So like I'm literally running back home, packing up stuff, running back to running all over town. And then before I know it, like I had contacted my work and was like, well, at least we got today off because it looks like this is happening now.
That literally sounds verbatim. Well, apart from the fact, like, that we didn't know that we were gonna be. They didn't tell us like, hey, we're gonna make the baby come out now. But literally, like, when we found out, because I mean, ours was due like pretty much early November. And my missus walks in and she's like, "Hey, I think it's time to go." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "I think it's time." So literally just had to kind of throw some stuff into a bag, like anything I could, and then we're off to the races. I was like, "Okay." Walk in and then they're like, "Yeah, she's definitely having it." I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, here we are now."
And like it was funny because I knew I had a feeling this was gonna happen with my parents, but when when we had to end up having like an emergency C-section, everybody's fine now. But when when I walked back out to the waiting room with the nurse, my mother-in-law was, excuse me, my mother-in-law was out in the waiting room. She thought we were coming out to give her bad news. And I was just like, no, everybody's fine. And I kid you not, my parents were literally at one of my niece and nephew's Christmas things for church. And they were on the... Wow. I think I sound a little better now. But what happened was they were literally on their way back home when they got word that, look, he's here. So they literally, instead of stopping at home, they just detoured and came all the way up here. It was a day I will not forget.
Hey, and you know what? It was an absolute blessing. That's what it is. That little fella, he's a big strong one. He's gonna be a big strong one.
Oh yeah. No, I've already joked. I've watched a bunch of wrestling with him already, and I've become friends with Alexis Cardoza of Fightful, who does the SmackDown post shows. And the first one that I watched after he was born, I was holding him, and during the show, I felt a little warm, like on my shirt, and then I go to lift him up, and I'm like, God damn it! So in the post show, I literally commented, and they actually read it off, and all three, because I think Sean Ross Sapp was actually on that night too. They all laughed their ass off because I said, my son was so excited about the show, he peed on me. Yeah. He's already given me some laughs.
I remember I remember the first time that actually no, there's two times. So there was one time where like I'm literally changing her, and then I'm talking like, without warning, like, next thing you know, I'm just feeling, I just see this whole like stream just kind of coming down, like, oh goodness. And then
oh God, I've had my stories with that.
golly, and the thing is, it's like, I think the hardest thing is like, so now I've got like, almost like trauma when I'm changing her, because it's like, like, I don't know if I'm like, let me make sure that you're
Oh
you're
God,
fully empty first before
oh, I've been there. I have been there. Like, oh God, like, you want to talk about okay, we're on a tangent, but hey, that shit happens. Two new fathers, we're bound to share some stories.
Yeah, this is fatherhood right here. It's a blessing, man.
Oh yeah, totally. But like, I've been around, I've changed some diapers for, my nieces and stuff like that, and never at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes time to change his first diaper. The nurse is there. She's coaching me along. And all of a sudden, she's like, okay, I got to go get something real quick. I'll be right back. And I kid you not, it was like a damn oil slick coming out of my kid's ass.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I think I have it done. I wiped, and then here it's coming more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
mm-hmm.
and I'm convinced that nurse did that on purpose.
Hey, look, I bet you she did. To tell you right now, they don't. And the thing is, they don't give you no warning. Like, like the fact
None.
that these kiddos, like, like legit, there's not gonna be no noise, no nothing. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah. Although now I've kind of come along to the little cues of when those are coming. Like, you literally hear people joke about the poop face. Like, they're like, they're scrunching up, and you're like, okay, I better go grab the wipes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Usually with us, like, you can hear like there's a moment where, like, especially because most of the time she does it when we're feeding her, and then there's this moment where she kind of pauses, and then I know, okay, if there's a certain pause, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely gonna be
that's that pause, that look.
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, yeah, let me go and get all the stuff ready, because like, yeah, this one is about to she's about to expunge her guts.
Oh God. And I've had times with, having a little boy where, I go to change him, and I'm like, I'm thinking he's done because, the diaper's wet and everything. No sooner than I get that flap down like a damn fountain, I'm like, can cover back up. Oh man. Oh, I could go on and on.
But you know what? There's better things to go on and on about, man. I'll tell you what. To anybody listening to this, especially like, I mean, I can't speak from a motherhood standpoint, because I'm pretty sure we got like, a plethora of like different listeners. But
yeah,
if you're a father, or you're gonna be a father, or you're about, if you're a father already, you understand what we're talking about. But if you're going to that stage, I'm telling you right now, there's no better feeling, no better stories you're gonna get. Scary, I can't say that, but the thing is, it's worth every moment of it, man.
Oh yeah, like, you'll definitely have those moments where you're like, in the moment you're like, but you look back on it and you just laugh your ass off.
Mm-hmm. Like seriously, because you don't know, because obviously no one knows what you're gonna expect, so you're not ready for it. You're not ready for it. What you're not ready for.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you look back on it, you kind of see like how far you've come from when they were first here and you didn't know anything to now. You still don't know much, but you know more than you did then, and so you're like, okay, well, at least I'm into a little bit of a routine. It's so
Yeah.
rewarding.
Oh yeah, you get into that routine, you get in the swing of things, and you're like, man, I still feel like a lot of times I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I feel more confident than I did.
Exactly.
And funny thing, my friend that made the Drinkinatmos title, he actually made one. He got one made for my son.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But well, and I'm sure we'll share some more stories there. But fantastic League of Wrestling, because that's the main reason why we came together today. The new season, April 5th, it starts. Quest for the Dragon Belts. Now, you kind of talked a little bit about kind of finding out on a whim about it. So, what brings you to Fantastic League of Wrestling? Because we, believing in the, what they got going, believing in the product, is that pretty much all what ends up bringing you to the promotion?
Well, I think when you start looking at the landscape of wrestling and especially seeing how popular it's become, obviously we know like WWE's on Netflix, TNA's come back with a big resurgence. You got AEW, New Japan, obviously with their partnership and so forth. It's probably never been the best. It's probably never been a better time to be a wrestler, especially if you're kind of like thinking to yourself like, well, how do I break into the business? How do I kind of get myself out there? The problem with that is that you just have so much, you have so much to sift through to try and kind of find to yourself, okay, I've done it and I've got my experience, but now like where do I go and find like like some good competition? Where do I go and find like the best of the best? Where do I go and find those places, especially on the indies? Because obviously on the indies, like if there's a running gag that people say like, hey, like if the best person in the indies is probably signed already, and so like, at that point,
especially with the WWE ID stuff now.
yeah, especially with the WWE ID stuff. I mean, it's right now it's making it easier for wrestlers who are at that indie level to now step onto that to the upper echelon, so to speak, and really kind of get their name out there, kind of get themselves in the higher competitions and so forth. And I think it's it can it be disheartening? Yes. However, when you start to kind of do your research, you start to kind of get to know people, especially like people like John, you start to kind of realize like there's people out there that really know the business in and out, and they are like more than capable of running what is going to be like a fantastic product. And I think when you kind of hear, I always kind of judge people off of how you talk to me about your product. So like, if you're, Drinkinatmos, obviously I am definitely all in, because I mean, you definitely have such a passion and a love for this product. So then if I know if I know that about you, then I know, okay, cool. Like he cares about this thing. So obviously I'm going to care about it for him. But if somebody's just kind of like, saying some stuff that's nonchalant, or you don't really see the investment in it past our conversation, then kind of like, I don't know if I can if I can, I don't know how much I should trust it. So that was not the vibe I got with Fantastic League Wrestling. And I think from the first moment that that me and John spoke, he outlined the vision, spoke about it, and obviously there's been a few opportunities that have come up between us that I'm like, well, yeah, if I wasn't sold before, I'm definitely sold now, because at this point right now, it's just that's it's the proof is in the pudding,
Yeah.
And so just seeing that, and then also like knowing that I've wrestled in London, I've wrestled in a few of the southern states, but now this is going to be the first time I'm going pretty much up north, outside to that Midwest area, and that's been a big goal of mine. And I feel like for most wrestlers, you know, I think it's easy to kind of get stuck in a territory and thinking that, hey, I want to, you know, be in this territory. I want to be in this place right now. I need to kind of go to the place where everything is so saturated and get myself in. And what you tend to forget is just because you're in an area of a lot of fighters doesn't mean that's the only place to fight. I think, you know,
Yeah.
you have to go and challenge, you have to go and find battles everywhere. I think, you know, I've been in Texas almost 10 years now, and I've been wrestling in Texas, you know, for pretty much half of that. And yeah, there's been some great battles, there's been some great competition and so forth. But at the same time, you know, when all everybody's out here, there's only so much you can do. And so sometimes you have to kind of like go out and find some experiences elsewhere, especially because you never know who you're going to find. And then when you come back to your area, then you know, like, hey, like I can literally kind of step in with the best of the best. And that's just, you know, that's just it. So I think that's really the biggest thing that brought me to Fantastic Legal Wrestling. And I'm excited just to kind of, you know, see what wrestling is like, you know, in the Midwest, see how it is in a different area, get out of my comfort zone. Because I mean, it's easy to kind of, you know, feel strong on your home turf, but when you're on somebody else's turf, it's a whole different ball game. Now you have to kind of go out there and and you know sink or swim it basically.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of interesting for me when you were talking about, you know, the way my the podcast started. I was talking, and I love highlighting people local to me. I love putting that shine out there. But I knew when I started, all of a sudden I had this feeling, much like you were just talking about, where I was like, I am gonna run out of people.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I'm not done yet. So that's when I just went off to the races. I know the SATs, the Maximo brothers, the guys that invented the Spanish fly, which when I realized that, I was like, holy crap. But they liked something of mine on Twitter. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I messaged them thinking, oh, God, they aren't going to want some Joe Schmo from. But then I was like, you know what? Let's just see if it sticks. And then now look at me.
Hey, and I think to that point right there, it's easy to stick to what you know. And I mean, going outside of your comfort zone is no guarantee that things are going to be successful. I don't want to pose it as that, where it's like, hey, go and do this, and you know everything is going to be. I mean, it could work, it might not work, but it definitely won't work if you don't do it.
Yep, exactly. And the thing that there's a few things that I'm going to be enjoying with this new season of Fantastic League Wrestling, but when we go and describe Fantastic League Wrestling, when I've had Bullard on, I was like, okay, I get it. And then I got to thinking about you, and I'm like, holy crap, yeah, that is a pretty good fit right there. Just the Ronin and the way he was describing the mission of Fantastic League Wrestling, I'm like, and then you factor in, you know, they're gonna not only they're partnering with these promotions, those promotions are like sending people in. So people from Japan, from Mexico, from the UK, all coming in from here and like getting that exposure out there with, you know, people from Japan. And, you know, I know at least this April 5th as of recording, Tommy Gunn going to be there. And like, when I heard that, I'm like, holy crap, you and Tommy, that would be something. Like light bulbs just went off.
Hey, that would be a dream match for me, man. Like as I said again, like I would definitely I'll definitely be down for that, man. Like, like me versus TG. I think he will definitely give me like a great challenge. Um, but that's what you look for, man. Like, I tell everybody, man, look, the worst fight you can fight is the one that you can win. The best ones are always the ones where you just a little bit of doubt in your mind, because those are the ones that are going to push you to your limits. Those are the ones that's going to force you to use the skills that you learn.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, this will come out after. I don't know if they'll announce it officially, but I know he gave me the exclusive, and it's kind of fitting for a promotion with the debut season. The name of the show, Quest for the Dragon Belts, and they already have a partnership with a promotion in Japan. But later on this season, I forget if in the May show or later, they will be bringing in talent from Dragon Gate in Japan. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only when AEW first started, Pac was holding one of their titles, but when I first got started watching independent wrestling, I was finding out the promotion that I would go to was having Akira Tozawa come to town. And then I was, doing research, finding, his stuff in Japan for Dragon Gate. And then I had cable in my barracks room. And I literally ordered a Dragon Gate pay-per-view just so I could watch him and get a little more familiar. So it's like, holy, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anybody like have you have ideas, pitching to them for like bringing in somebody that you're like, if you could get this guy, that would be awesome?
I think the way I've kind of posed it is bring me anybody. And when I say that, it's in the least cockiest way possible. It's in the way of saying, I don't want to. I feel like it can be easy to, especially on the indies, to kind of say like, hey, I want to face this person.
Yeah.
Say they give me this person. It's like, but I don't want to face that one. And I kind of realize, and I think everybody will kind of realize, man, that, our days are numbered in the game, as when we start, we've got many days, but there's an expiry date.
Yeah.
The one thing that we can't take for granted is the fact that we're not going to be doing this a long time. So when you get the chance to do it, even if it's at practice, even if it's just like, even if you just get to watch it, do it. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you can't spend time trying to, make things the way that you want to see them, because that's not really how the world works in the general anyway.
True.
And so whatever you're given in a given day, take it. And the same thing with wrestling. Like, I want whoever is, given to me. I don't want to know beforehand. In terms of, when I say don't want to know beforehand, I don't want to be the one that's like, hey, bring me this dude.
Yeah.
I want them to come to me and be like, hey, we got this guy for you. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm ready.
I like that thinking, because I mean, it could come across wrong, I guess, when you're just saying, hey, bring me this guy. But when you're just telling them, hey, and you know what, Bowler, he has a good mind for this stuff. Like, he's told me about how putting together some of the matches for April 5th. And he definitely comes to mind with like his roster and the people that he includes in there. It's like he just gets everything together, and it's like, okay, I have a good feeling here. Yeah, I'm fully confident that. So we're gonna find some good competition for you, man. I know for sure.
I have no doubts about it, and I think that's really like, because somebody asked me about, I was asked a similar question about like, hey, who do you like to face, and why do you like to face him? And I've said, like, in my whole martial arts career, I've really enjoyed the thrill of not knowing, because I think it helps me to kind of know, like, I have to push my skills this far. I have to, figure out a different way to solve a puzzle, because not every puzzle is the same. It's not everybody's going to be the same fighter, not everybody's going to be the same wrestler. And so kind of figuring out, like, well, what do I need to do to beat this fella? Or what do I need to do to beat this person? I think that's half of the fun of it, because it's like
Oh,
you're trying to figure out this puzzle, not like,
yeah.
hey, this is how I beat people. No, this is how I have to beat this person. I need to know this person's weakness. I need to know their strengths, because the thing is, I'm trying to win that chess game.
Oh, yeah. And, it does prove for the adaptability. You just prepare yourself for a little bit of everything, so that way you're just adaptable to that, whoever they give you.
Exactly. And I think that's really like that's a big thing, because I feel like once you kind of like cherry pick in certain ways, like who you're going against or what you want to do, you kind of have in this mind, like, this is what I'm coming in here to do, as opposed to like, this is what I have to do. And I
Yeah.
feel like you have to kind of change that up, because sometimes, like, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, as competitions go up in stakes, as they go up, like, you don't really get the luxury of, like, kind of telling anybody else, like, how things are going to be. You have to be ready to, for what it's going to be. And to be fair, they're going to get to a level where you're the small fry. So when you're the small fry, you don't get to choose what you want to do. You have to, you get told what you're going to do, and you have to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing that I do, even though, being adaptable, I do feel like I really want to ask goals for this season with Fantastic League of Wrestling. I can imagine, there's the obvious, hey, if you're going to be given the chance, you want to go for one of them damn titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I have full confidence that you'd be a good damn fit for those belts there. Any one of them, really.
I think with the goals, especially, I mean, obviously, like, championships, that is like like, hey, if we can do that, that's always going to be like a great, kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
I think really what I want most of all is a great stage to kind of show people, especially people who haven't, like, kind of seen it before or known it before, like, what the Ronin way is, and to be able to kind of put that on display and to show, like, hey, that this is the Ronin way, this is what it is. And kind of start getting that word out there, start, like, kind of like putting that out there in the universe, that there's this style out here that that we're missing out on.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's definitely gonna prove pretty cool when some of the places I've heard they're planning on going, and I've heard about theme park shows and stuff, and oh god, words are hard. But when he mentioned to me once about a show where before it started, he got on the mic and was asked, how many people is this your first time watching professional wrestling? And like literally majority of the people raised their hand up. And in a way, that's pretty awesome, because wrestling is a lot about moments, giving people moments that they'll always remember. And, especially for people that's their first time watching any form of wrestling. And you have characters out there, and, you have the Ronin way, and showing them that and giving them that good first impression. It's going to be like that. That's going to be pretty awesome. Getting fresh eyes on you.
And especially, like, in a different territory that's not my home turf, because I feel like a lot of people ask about, like, what can I do to kind of get my name out there and so forth. The only way to get your name out there is to get out there.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of understand that, like, it's easy to be, again, like we spoke to before, you can be the biggest dog in your comfort zone, but then when you go out to, like, different areas, different places, you might not be the biggest fish in the pond, but like the thing is, you probably will give yourself the opportunity to go out there and make a name for yourself, get to a new market, like kind of go out there and make your name known, so that people be like, well, hey, where have you been all our life? You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to follow you. And literally all of a sudden you touched some many different 100 people in this one area. And then once you start to kind of like extend that, then you're making yourself undeniable at that point. Like people will be like, well, hey, everybody really wants to see you, so we're going to bring you in. You know what I'm saying? So
oh yeah. And it's just going to be a great time. I fully confident there. Now, kind of going back into stuff that we talked about before, the new father aspect of things. Now, my wife, she had to stop me from buying so many toys and stuff every like little bits for a while, little bits of just about every paycheck. I would be getting something for him, because I was like, man, I think I've told the story before about my wife and I losing our twin girls. And I always, wow, okay. I always thought that one of my biggest regrets was I never got to get them anything. Like every little girl, every little boy, they deserve a father that's gonna, give them a little toy. Everybody deserves that. So when I just had it in my head that, damn it, I'm gonna get this kid stuff before he even gets here. Like, obviously the wrestling stuff. I found these like cartoonish versions of different wrestlers that were like stuffed animal plushie things. I found one of Bray Wyatt, and I was like, oh, this would be too fitting. And then I found one of Cody Rhodes. And I'm like, okay, that. And then I haven't put this up in his room yet, but my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Let's go, Mikey.
Oh, dude, Mikey's always been my favorite. And yeah, I've started his Wrestling and Ninja Turtle collection off in a good note, I would like to think.
Actually, I was gonna grab because I've got the Last Ronin collection.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
I have the hard copy that's like the whole thing.
Yeah, I've got like, and this is how much of a Ninja Turtle mark I am. I've got the Saturday morning cartoons. I've got the Batman versus Ninja Turtles. I've got the Last Ronin, the hardback copy like you got. I've got the volumes, and I've even got it digitally. I've got it on my iPad. That just shows you how much of a mark I am. But it was just like, the Ninja Turtles. If you don't like Ninja Turtles, then something wrong with you.
Oh yeah, no. I've been growing up. I think we might have mentioned it the last time you were on. Pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles for me. That was my stuff, and I've had to, excuse me, I've had to kind of rebuild my collection, but I don't think if you would have told me growing up that one day, not only would I have stuff in my collection from the voice of Michelangelo from the original cartoon and the voice of Splinter from the first two movies. And I swear I got in a damn near 5-10 minute conversation with Townsend Coleman just off of me telling him that Mikey was always my favorite.
And you need to make sure you keep that in like a safe place so it can be like, handed down.
Oh,
to a young fella, and tell him specifically, like, look, there's many things you can sell. These ones are not for sale. These ones are for you to keep it. And if you don't want it, you have to pass it down through the family.
Oh yeah, like hell, I bought both of those. I got hard protective cases. They've been displayed proudly And oh, yep. Secret of the Use, though, hands down my favorite of the movies.
Oh, what's that? My favorite movie? I'm trying to think. I think that was my favorite movie. I mean, the first one was great. The third one, I was like,
And the third one was it was like, it wasn't like I've heard some people completely trash it, but I'm like, it ain't that
bad. I mean, I think the ones of her trashy. I think it was trash in comparison to what came before it. And I was like, well,
yeah,
sometimes you have to watch a movie, in its own, like, without
its own light.
Yeah, in its own light. And I think that's one of them where you have to kind of watch that in its own light and kind of understand that, like, hey, if I think of it as part of like a collection, then it might not be that great. But if I watch it in its own light, then it's actually not that bad. It's just I'm comparing it to what came before, which to be honest, actually isn't. It's not illogical. That's actually pretty logical, like, because it is a part of a set. It's called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I get that, but at the same time, it's like, it's like I feel like the correct way to kind of view it is it wasn't as good as the one before it. Not that it was a bad movie, because I don't thought it was a bad movie. It's like it was one of the ones where, like, sometimes you get to the point in a trilogy or like even a quadrilogy where you're like, what was it necessary to make that movie? Like, we could have done without it.
Yeah, like the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, what one are we on now? 10 or 11?
I lost count. Like, it got confusing when they, and like it gets, I know it gets explained later, but when they go from like Too Fast, Too Furious to Tokyo Drift to all of a sudden, like, now it's like, wait, what just happened? But then you get it explained later, but it's still like, so you're telling me I have to watch one movie that was released after one to really get why they're even doing what they're doing in that one? Like, no, too much thinking.
For me, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like, yo, like, how do we get from, like, like a pretty much like an underground car racing scene to, like, these guys are like almost full on like James Bond? Yeah, like, I was like in space. I'm like, wait, you guys are like James Bond, like espionage. This is crazy, dude.
Oh man, yeah. But back on the Ninja Turtles, I got it. I've had some figures added since we last talked, including, it was a 2-pack, but the Leonardo with the regular Shredder, and I'm not even going to try to put him back up there right now. But now the Universal Monster mashup ones, I am literally only missing 2.
Or do you know where to find them, or where you can get them?
The only place I've ever seen them in the last year or so is at conventions.
Which is the next convention you're probably going to go to?
They have the O Comic Con here. I'm wanting to say July. I'm trying to remember right now, but I'm gonna try to make it to that one. But like, I'm literally only missing Donatello as Invisible Man and Splinter as Van Helsing.
Oh,
those are the only 2 I'm missing.
Well, I'm gonna do some research. I'll keep a lookout for him. If I find him, I'm gonna send it to your way, so that way you can make sure you can get him.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome, because like, literally, I keep an eye out, and I think Valentine's Day, my wife actually got me, Wrath as Wolfman.
Ooh, that's dope.
That was a good. Although, me being a Mikey guy, I'm always partial to his one. Him as the Mummy.
Yeah, which just means awesome.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I was always thinking with those that, like, one that I thought they would make, but I don't think they're going to. Shredder as Dracula.
Ooh, I like that. Either that, or I'm trying to think Shredder as Dracula, or Shredder as the Headless Horseman.
Ooh.
Just because of the fact that he wears armor. Headless Horseman is a knight, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought, you see,
or Jack the Ripper Shredder.
Sometimes with a cape.
Mm-hmm.
When you get Dracula with the cape, and
actually, no. What if he was like Dracula or Jack the Ripper?
Ooh, that is a good one.
And I think it would both of them would definitely fit.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And you know what? God damn it, you just made me think of something. With my son, babies, you're trying to get them to burp and stuff. Well, my wife sometimes she finally gets them to burp. She's like, "Oh, that's a good one." And I'm like, I literally made a comment on my personal Facebook. Man, baby burps. Oh, that's a good one. Meanwhile, when I do it, I get told to stop being gross.
I know, it's kind of crazy, like literally, your baby farts, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that's so well done, like that's great, so cute. You fart like, oh, can you what's wrong with you? Like, how old do you think you are? I'm like, wait,
light a fucking candle, got it.
He's like, golly, it's like, hey, hold on a second, isn't this like double standards, like of the highest sort? But it's like,
you always think, burps or farts with little babies when it's like you wouldn't think that a sound that loud would come out of a kid that small, but then all of a sudden you're like, ew. But when us adults do it, it's like, yeah, quit being gross.
Yeah, I'm like, especially my little one, when she lets one rip. That thing, I'm thinking to myself, I know you didn't think that was going to come out silent, and she's there laughing her head off. I'm like, well, I'm glad someone thinks it's funny, because when it's me that does it, I don't want to hear nothing from you. You understand?
Oh God, I remember one of the first times I got a grin out of him. He had farted, and I was like, I just hold him. I'm like, did you just fart? Are you going to have a sense of humor like your daddy? And he just looked at me like, yeah. I'm like, oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, hey, look, don't worry. I am definitely your son, and we're going to have an awesome time.
Oh, yeah. No, I can already tell that that's going to be the case, because I will joke, though, that we pointed out that he's got a big head, and I'm like, damn it, the one part of me I didn't want him to get.
I was gonna say that he's probably having a tough time, trying to balance that big old dome in his neck.
He's like, holy crap! Like, he started lifting his head up, and like very early on, I'm like, God damn, slow down, kid.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know. Being a wrestling fan, being in wrestling, I know I came to a show here in Omaha relatively relatively recently, where a guy behind me getting ready to get something to drink was talking about that show was his kid's first one. And I get a little choked up when I think about it, because I'm like, I told him, man, my wife and I just had our son Christmas Eve, and I can't wait till I can say that about my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that day, whenever the hell it happens, man, that's going to be something.
Mm-hmm. And I think, that's where, for me, because a lot of people ask me, what kind of other major milestones would you want to achieve in the game. I think is to be able to just kind of the look that I've seen other kids having their faces, and even other adults having their faces, or just experience that they've had feeling me while I've been wrestling in the ring. I want my daughter to experience that at some point. I want her to kind of see that and just kind of like, if she thinks I'm a hero like now, kind of be like, hey, like, daddy's my hero then. And I think, this, as you say again, those moments right there where you get to like, kind of pass the torch in a way. Like that's really what that is. That's the passing of the torch where it's like, like, yo, you know, at the end of the day, like, this was something that I enjoyed, but now I got somebody who's enjoying it with me, and that's just where we are right now.
Oh yeah. And considering for me, where like I was the pro wrestling fan in my family, I shared for a little bit of time with my little brother, but I'm the only one that really stuck with it. Like it was literally at a point where my parents, when they could tell when I was still single, I was like, oh man, everybody's getting married, blah blah blah. And they one time literally told me, with going to the wrestling shows, they're like, do you really think you're gonna meet anybody there? Funny enough, and I might have told you the story, but literally the guy that I made my best man had been trying to get me to go to this show for a while. And he sees me eyeing this girl at the merch table. And after a while, he was just like, here, I got somebody I want you to meet. And now we've been together 7 years. And I literally looked at my dad at my wedding, and I was like, I remember when you told me that.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, that's what they call bulletin board material. Like, like you pin that one on the bulletin board, then hey, do you see how wrong you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bulletin board material right there. And I think it's kind of funny, like you talk about that, because I think like, my full circle moment came. Yeah, I mean, like, on a whim. I've been the wrestling fan for like as long as I can remember. Like, I remember the first wrestling I watched was old school WWE, WCW. I'm talking that's when it was like Steve Austin and Sting. No, Steve Austin and Flying Brian were attached.
Yeah.
That shows you.
Hollywood Blondes.
Yeah, that's back when that was back with them. And then what? It was kind of crazy. You get to 2019, all of a sudden I'm getting my WWE tryout, and never having stepped inside a ring before. I'm in this building, and I'm like, man, it's crazy because I'm in this building training to be the people that I watch for a living. And I'm, I haven't done anything, but already I'm at that highest level of that competition where it's like, like the people who pretty much have the monopoly in the game have brought me in for a tryout to kind of like, come here and try to be one of them. And then, obviously like looking at it full circle and seeing how that kind of sparked my career on the indies and how that turned me from, kind of being like, like an athlete that was going for a tryout to the Ronin Jase Osei. I think it's one of those full circle moments where you don't really know where this journey will take you. You don't really know what will happen once you start, and you're going to have like many people who will be like naysayers and kind of tell you all these things in life and, kind of and have that. But the one thing you can't do is you listen to everything with a grain of salt. There are some people who will literally tell you some stuff and have your best interest in mind. Some people just tell you some stuff for the sake of just talking or just saying something, and sometimes they really don't know what they're talking about the whole way. So,
no, I totally get you there. Now, before we wrap up, I got 2 things I want to have you do here. First one, what is a message you have for the rest of the Fantastic League of Wrestling roster?
Oh, I think the main message that I have for them is the same message that I've kind of been promoting through my social medias and so forth, which is, when you step in the ring with me, just be ready and, understand that this isn't wrestling. This is the Ronin way. And that means that it's probably going to be a little bit amped up. It's probably going to be a little bit more violent than you were expecting. And you really like, especially if you call my name out. Like if you call my name out, like, understand what you're asking. Don't just say that. Don't just say that on a whim. Don't be like, I want to face that guy. Like, no, don't do that because like, like that could get you hurt. You know what I'm saying? So like what you need to do is you need to make sure that, like, if you're really about that life, if you really wanted to step in, if you really wanted to kind of have that competition with me, you need to just be ready, man. Like, train like it, like, live like it. I'm talking. I need to, once I see your name in the card, you're gonna see what I'm doing to get prepared. I need to see the same respect from you. I don't want to, kind of feel like you're sitting on the couch or something like that, not taking it seriously. I want to see, like, you're actually getting in there. You're actually going to the gym. You're actually working out. You're eating right. All them things you can do to make sure that you're in tip-top shape and at the peak of your physical powers. So then that way, when we go to battle, there's no excuses. There's no, the reason why I lost, or this is because I wasn't ready. It's like, no, I'm not trying to hear that. I want you to be at your best. No excuses.
Oh yeah, no, definitely that is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I jokingly said this before, but, and you know what? I forget where I actually heard this quoted, but it was along the lines of, never half-ass anything, always full-ass it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was. I think like I think like if that was said in front of like a donkey would be like, what the heck does that even mean? Like, like what? How do you fool me?
Oh man. Okay. Whew. Calm down a little bit. All right. So, lastly, message for the Fantastic League of Wrestling fans.
Ooh. So for the fans, I want you to know that the Ronin way is probably going to be a little bit different to most wrestling that you've seen before, but I can assure you that you will enjoy it. I can assure you that you'll want some more. And so with that, be along with the ride. The Ronin way is not just me performing to you, it's us together. So, like, once you're a part of the Ronin way, you're a part of it. So understand this is a lifestyle. The Ronin way is a movement. It's gonna sound like it feels like pretty exclusive, but it's really inclusive. So, as I said again, like, anybody who wants to join the Ronin way, the principles. I'll put in my social media, follow that, and then again, we'll make this. We'll make some great things together.
Definitely. All right. Well, before we go, where can people find you social media wise, so they don't already have their eyes on you, and how they can get to be following the Ronin way? They can get their eyes there.
Everything. So on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Ronin Jase Osei. Also, I'm on Twitch, so I do game stream right now. As the 2 games I'm trying to 3 games I'm trying to complete. So, like, depending on the Sunday, is God of War 2, Spider-Man, the first one, because I'm trying to get through the trilogy, so then that way I can get to the second game, and then also Ghost of Tsushima, because the Ronins.
Oh yeah, no, that one definitely makes sense. That one definitely makes sense. I'm kind of jealous though with some of those, because I don't have a PlayStation, and yeah, I can't play those Spider-Man ones.
Come on, get on the board, man. I tell you right now, phenomenal.
Oh, I've heard nothing but great things about those games, for sure. Well, we will get all of that in the description. Want to thank you once again for taking the time to talk to me tonight. Best of luck out there with everything Fantastic League of Wrestling and beyond.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me here for a drink, and I hope that we can do it again.
Oh, you're welcome back anytime.
Next round's on me, all right?
All right. Now, you see the issue I'm having with this damn button. There, see?